Didi.
Hey everybody, Arma here, Chi Skills. Welcome to our podcast. It's been a while, right, Didi?
Yeah.
A couple of months probably. We haven't been sitting still.
No.
We would have loved to. No. We would have loved to fly to an island and lay in the sun. We've been working.
Yeah.
We've been teaching great workshops, right, in the summer.
Oh, yeah, we did some live workshops. So people came over and worked with us, which was great.
Great, and the weather was awesome. We've been training outside most of the time, and we're in the park, and people coming over from abroad. It was just an amazing experience.
It just gives you such a boost to work with people live, to see them and to really dive deep into the material. And what I also found is that it's a learning process for everyone.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. It's you grow together. Yeah.
It always is, because the questions you get and people take their own information with them. So it's just awesome.
We've met some very inspirational people
Yeah.
this summer for sure.
Yeah.
And also we've been working on our new website. That's in the air. It's been in the air since probably beginning of August, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe if you've seen it. It makes it easier for us to communicate with you, and makes it easier to also create courses and to share those with you. And we're making the first one now. We're almost finished with making our first online course.
Yeah, complete online course, so that you can go through the course yourself, and that's the first.
Yeah, it's the Core Essentials Qigong course.
Yeah,
it's long, I know, but it sums it up perfectly. I think it's all about the basics and the foundation of internal training, and these principles can be applied to all your Qigong exercises, to Tai Chi, to any internal art, really. Yeah. Because we just noticed by meeting people that some people have been training long, but their body they don't have these internal principles yet. And we wanted to create something for people who maybe cannot come over, are maybe isolated, don't have a teacher in their. I mean, we get emails from people who are in like New Mexico, and there's no one. There's probably only desert there, right? But they have Wi-Fi, so they could have access to
there's
to
some
a course.
people there.
Yeah. Yes, obviously there's people there. Beautiful people, I know. But so that was our plan as well. So in these last couple of months, we've been building this course up, and it's almost finished. It finished. It's advertised already, coming out in this month, but that's not going to happen. We changed that to November because we want to make sure we get.
We're always very optimistic in our planning, and then sometimes it works, and sometimes we just want to give everyone the best.
The best possible experience, right?
Exactly. So we take a little bit more time, but it will be all for the best.
Oh, for sure. It's such a different approach, right? We were talking about the live teaching, and where you have this live interaction, and this is made for people, to study themselves with like videos going through the material. And so this course, it's coming in November, end of November. Yeah. And that gave us the inspiration for the next couple of podcasts, really. There's 5 modules in the course, and we're going through the basics. We're starting with the physical foundation, really. That's the first module, and we want to do the podcast today about that material. There's obviously the other modules are about awakening the energy body, and then different releasing methods, learning how to move energy through the system, and then also balancing energy. So if you get that material, you will understand a lot more about internals, because you have the experience, and that's what it's all about, right? The experience.
That's what Chi Skills stands for. Yeah,
absolutely.
But I think so. Today we talk about the first module, which is all about
physical foundation.
And that's where it all starts. If you don't have this physical foundation, there is no way you can go work with. Well, we all experience Qi, but not in the way that you would want to.
Exactly, it's not optimal. Yeah. Right? I mean, we are already energy beings, so we are. But Tai Chi and Qigong and all these internal arts are about optimizing things, right? It's about optimizing our construction, our alignment, so that all that stuff can happen more efficiently, if you will, right? The Qi flow, the health, the relaxation, all these things that we're looking for, the grounding, they are all determined by an optimal physical foundation. So the first thing we do is align. We want to be aligned. We want to be in between heaven and earth, if you will.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that. So in the first module, the first exercise we see is about standing practice, and standing practice is where it all began for me. And the thing is, if you would only do standing practice, that would be awesome. I mean, you could do Tai Chi, you could do all sorts of, but I remember my first teacher saying to me, if this would be the only thing you get and work with and follow the path of it, because it's a long road, this one. You could change yourself, and transform yourself in your best possible being as could be.
Yeah,
for sure.
But it's probably also your first. The first part of standing practice is, of course, alignment. You want to align your body. You said, I love that, between heaven and earth. And because you align, there is flow possible.
There's flow possible, and there's a lot of other things possible. Because you have to understand that through conditioning and through life experience, if you will, people, if they stand up, they cannot ground. It's just how we stand, A lot of people have their knees locked. And that's a problem because, our feet, if the feet are on the floor correctly, we don't really have a feeling of standing anymore. And that's funny that we're talking about standing practice. But it's more an experience of hanging, really. So we have standing, but we should really call it hanging practice.
Yeah.
That's
interesting.
Yeah, because if our feet, a lot of people have their weight, their core shifted a little bit towards their heels.
Yeah.
And that's just because we tend to stand upright, right? Some people do that. Have that an overextension even, right? They walk around a little bit more like this. I'm exaggerating here, right? But there's this thing that they're really open. And, also this summer in live workshop, there were 2 people who had that. They just had that in their bodies and just adjusting that. It's like, wow, they just suddenly land on earth.
Yeah.
Because you shift their balance a little bit more to, the kidney 1 points, which are just behind the ball of the feet. And they feel this point. It's like, oh, now my center can relax and make contact with the ground here. And then we shift back again. It's like, oh, go back to the heels again. And they're like, ah. And they're like, oh, and go back again. They're like, ah. Now we're there.
And what you said also is like, you see the expression in the face changes with doing that. And I think for a lot of women, especially when they walk on high heels, and there is no way you can ground walking on high heels. It's impossible.
You just can't. No.
You walk on your toes. It's so your feet cannot touch the ground. There's no grounding there. You just flow over the earth, So it's kind of it's a big thing.
It's the thing, really. You're talking about certain conditions that make all these other things possible.
Yeah.
That's where we start. We start with the feet. We start just by, where am I on my feet?
Yeah.
So I have people coming in as students, and we're finding that spot. And then we just start gently walking around.
Yeah.
And they're like, how can I walk like this? I said, oh, you can. Yeah, but people will think I'm weird. But they think you're weird anyway, And it's their opinion. Who cares, But that's a whole other podcast. It's an interesting one. But soon they get the hang of it. It's like, if I just balance my weight a little bit like this, now I have the feeling that my center can connect on every step, and there's this potential, this potential of an explosion. Really, they feel like, man, I'm so present,
Powerful.
I'm so powerful in this position that I could explode. And then there's this joyous feeling coming with that. Yeah. They feel the springs in their feet again. They feel it's almost like their legs disappear, like Mr. Potato Head, Remember him? Well, of course, he didn't have a body even, but we would we like the body, we like the legs, but it's this feeling of like I'm so connected to my root all the time, and it's just this little shift. And the funny thing is, a lot of people who come in, they've already been doing maybe meditation practice or things just to, becoming more still and present. And the thing is, if you're not grounded, it's not going to happen. There's going to be so much background noise all the time. Yeah. And you align people, even when sitting now, I'm aligned. My feet, these spots, while I'm talking, still aware of these spots on the ground. I'm aware of the crown, because that's the other extreme, if you will. Yeah. That's the heaven connection. And that gives me a sort of dark black background, if you will. It's I talk, there's thoughts, there's emotions, things coming up, but behind it is just still. And that's expressed by my body, expressed by my physical alignment. So that's where we start.
Yeah, and it's the feet. And what I also notice is the neck.
For sure.
Here. Because I also noticed that with myself very clearly that when you're standing, it's not all right. If you don't stand on on the center of your feet, then you have a tendency to
bend the neck a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
to close your neck.
Yeah.
Which is, and you see it happening. It's because we've been observing so much. You see that so many people do this. Well, that's why a lot of people have headaches or stagnation, and the shoulders. They're carrying so much. So you see that this area for a lot of people is so tense. And so if you want that connection between heaven and earth, well, you need to have this part open. There needs to be flow in there.
Yeah, so if you make people aware of where the crown actually is, right? Yeah. So we're pushing up a little bit from this point. Instead of a lot of people are looking like, okay, I have to open the neck, lengthening the spine, etc. No, go to this point where your neck, if it was longer, would come out of your head, right?
Yeah.
And now, if we get there, the spine starts to feel straight. We're on these points on the ground, and now we have the feeling like we're suspended from above. And that's one of the first, lessons we learn in Tai Chi, is like suspend the head from above. But that's how it's going to feel, because you get this lengthening, but you get this relaxation under it that connects to the ground. So, and you get a little bit of a separation around the lower dantian area, around the lower abdomen, where there's this separation happening. So you feel this center is just boom, it's connected to the ground, but then there's a lightness coming.
Absolutely.
On I said the top half of the body, right? So if that alignment is there, and it's pretty easy for people to feel.
Yeah.
Then this, because it's not only this, you see something, you see this, you see all these.
Yeah.
Then if they have that correctly, they feels like, but my shoulders now, they just sort of float, and they're hanging in a place where it's just comfortable, and I could stand like this for an hour without a problem. I can just because this is not just physical, obviously. You're creating an alignment so that energy flow, the heaven energy, the yang energy, and the yin energy of the earth, they just sort of can meet in you, because you create a pathway for it. We are so, normally with people, they're so not tuned into the earth and not in tune to heaven. And you can see that, you can feel that with them. You can see how they stand. And that just automatically, so, there's no stillness. There's so much things going on, stagnation going on in the system, emotional stagnation, mental stagnation, physical stagnation. And the whole process is just by this alignment, people are like, wow, what's happening? I'm here.
Yeah. It's a great shift. It's
an unbelievable shift. Yeah. So that's in the first, in the first module, it's all about creating this construction, this alignment, because this alignment creates a certain construction. Then we understand, it's like, oh, this opening of the spine that I'm feeling now is like there's a lengthening of the joints happening, which creates a little stretch of all the tendons and the fascia around the spine. And from there, we can learn how to open the body, from the open the joints. We get the arms. We're going to look for what's the most open position for all, for the limbs and for the spine. And from there, we tune into the fascia, and we're going to learn how to tune this fascia.
Yeah.
Because it's a fine-tuning device.
Absolutely. And we'll talk a lot about the physical and about if you have an open system, there can be flow, but you feel, well, you just said there are less thought, because things can flow.
It's already happening.
It's already happening when you stand correctly. And then with the other exercises, it will be even better. But what you see is when there is a lot of stagnation, it has an impact on everything. Everything. Sure. Every process in the system is either there can be flow. If it's, well, where you hear me talk about a lot is the digestive system, but also your emotions, and it's all connected with each other. And that is why if you put someone in the right construction, you see, there's a different expression on the face.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Coming from a totally different perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the mind tends to shut up.
Yeah.
When we are aware and focusing our observation on this openness.
Yeah.
Right? So we get this construction happening that makes that possible. And then in the second part, we work on fine-tuning the fascia, the stretch to optimize energy flow. We also learn how to relax into that, because you start sinking, and now you can help that a little bit. It's like, okay, do I feel a little bit stagnation here? Okay, I can melt that away by melting that into the elasticity. So this elastic thing is very important here, because that holds our construction up. And then in the second part of Module 1, we start moving with this construction. So the first part is a little bit more about just hanging there, right? You're hanging there and you're observing your construction, and it's just putting a microscope on yourself, right? Yeah. Really getting to know yourself and understanding. But then we start moving with that, because this is how you apply these principles of keeping an alignment, keeping your construction, and keeping this relaxation while still maintaining this construction, this sung, while moving. Yeah. So we start looking at different ways of doing that and how you can apply that to your Tai Chi forms or Qigong forms. It's gonna make a lot of sense at a certain point. It's like we're not just relaxing here. No, it's this. We're not really moving. We're almost more like transforming constantly in this state of openness and alignment, and that just changes people, because they become so aware when they're walking, when they're at work, when they're talking to other people. They're so aware. There's a part of them is always aware about their alignment and construction, and then people say, "Wow, what's new with you?" Right? There's something different about you, and because people get in their true strength. Yeah. Yeah. There's more alignment of the upper dantian, the middle dantian, and the lower dantian, which are all about the mental, what you think, the feeling aspect, and the acting aspect, and these align with each other. So, and that's where true power really is. If it's all over the place, it becomes messy. Your life is very messy. How you respond, how you react to situations. If you come from alignment and structure, everything changes. Yeah. So that's what the first module is all about, and that creates.
It's the first step.
It's the first step to
go to the next one.
To the next one, which is all about awakening the energy body. Yeah. Obviously, you're gonna already experience flow and a certain feeling, but in the second module, we're gonna even optimize that and really tuning into energy, because it's all about releasing. If you can release your muscle into a little stretch, there's space, there's space to dissolve in. There's space to... But if you can dissolve it into energy, which is beyond the physical feeling of the body, we get more space. And this is what it's all about. We're just creating space for flow.
Just talking about it makes me more relaxed already.
Me too. Yeah.
That's great.
I'm just so, I say that, I'm just so enthusiastic about this material. It's just, teaching this stuff is It's my life, I guess. It just feels so good. I just want to.
Yeah.
You can hear that when I talk about it. Sometimes my English is probably all over the place, but
it's what we see and what we love is that it changes people's. It changed our life, and now we see other people's lives change, and it's just the most magical thing.
Yeah,
it's the most magical thing. So that's what we wish for a lot of people to happen. So it's just awesome that we can teach this stuff.
It's just great, and especially in a time like this, where there's so much chaos and things going on. I think if you really dive into this stuff now, this is where you can have your
growth.
biggest growth ever, I guess. Well, you cannot say ever. You don't know what's coming after, but now is the time to really work on yourself and start working on your alignment, getting your true power into the world, right?
That's beautiful. Beautiful. I love it.
Me too.
Okay.
Hope you like it too.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. See you next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
You.
And take care. Huh?
Bye.
Bye.